outlook for like
Mm-hmm.
2022, and they're expecting some volatility until probably April and like mid-May, and then they're
Mm-hmm.
expecting like a little bit of flat after that.
Yeah, everybody is expecting a lot of volatility because they want to know what the FOMC is going to do. All right. I'm gonna wait till 5. Yeah, a lot of people are actually expecting this type of volatility to occur from January up to the first interest rate hike, I believe.
Mm.
So we'll see what happens because nobody actually really knows what's gonna happen at all. So
It's still hot on inflation and debt ceiling, right?
hmm?
It's still hot on that, right? On the topic on debt ceiling and inflation.
Debt ceiling, not right now because we extended it, so it's not really hot, you know. So I I believe right now the hot thing is inflation, but to combat that inflation, they're gonna, basically combat with interest rate hike. That's what they're doing. Tapering bond yields and interest rate hike now. That's how they're gonna combat it.
Mm.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see because S&P 500 had a 27% year this year. So I'm curious to see what happens actually this coming year. Like I'm probably predicting probably 21%, 22% maybe, because all the other sectors will start picking up. I think people will probably start forgetting about COVID now because it's gonna be taken into consideration as an endemic, meaning it's gonna be around like the cold and flu seasons, so nothing really big at all to worry about. Also on top of that, like the market's probably gonna be more volatile this year with a lot of news and federal monetary policy because once the federal changes interest rate hikes, that is when a lot of central banks in other countries are gonna follow suit after as well. So it's gonna be very interesting to see. All right, so it's 5 p.m. So I'm gonna get right into it. All right. Yo, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are having great New Year's. Happy New Year's. Even though it's like 2 days, a day after. Hope you guys had a wonderful time. We're safe. My name's Anderson. If you guys don't know who I am, I'm analyst at OBR Investing. So yeah. So today I'm going to go over my trading strategy, how I actually trade, and what I use for indicators of sorts. So let's give it a shot. Let's look at this. All right, so I'm going to restart this. So this is my current setup right now. So I'm going to get rid of all this right now. So I'm going to remove all my studies. So I'm going to remove all these studies right here. Also going to remove all my drawings as well. So let me remove clear drawing sets. Yes, there we go. So I removed all my drawing sets. So right now my TA is just currently a blank slate. So what I usually do is I put on first things first, I would, if you're on Thinkorswim, so first indicator I would use is a MACD. Basically, it's a moving average convergence divergence. It's basically a trading indicator used in like technical analysis to see if the market is going to make it to the upside or to the downside. Shows the sense of movement of the stock itself. In the short term, long term, or midterm. So let me add the study right now. So let's edit study. So I'm going to add MACD here. MACD. Oh, let me stream my screen correctly so that you guys can see me adding these indicators as well. So here we go. Let me stream my screen. Voila. There we go. So basically, I'm going to add MACD to this. Bam. Apply. So as you can see, why is my MACD not popping up? Hold up. So MACD. There we go. Apply. There we go. So we have our MACD right here. As you can see, this is my MACD right here. It looks like we're about to have a cross to the downside, as you can see. So that means indicating that we're gonna have a little sense of pullback. I'm doing a chart on SPY, so I'm gonna redo my entire chart. Usually, if people know who I am, I trade SPY consistently because it's my most profitable trades on the day, every day. Yeah. So first thing I add on is MACD. I don't change the settings at all. I keep the setting as the way it is. So basically, one thing I would say is look up divergences. You know, you want to learn about bearish and bullish divergence. Usually I use it both on MACD and RSI. Learning about these bullish and bearish divergence theories allows you to use your MACD to its fullest, because you can look at the SPY price movement at the current indices price level, ETF price level right now, and then compare it to the MACD and see whether or not you're in a bearish or bullish divergence. It can be either also hidden or hidden bullish or hidden bearish. You also have weak and strong versions, so it's very key to learn that, because then you can actually find a leading. This is called what I call a leading indicator, creating this converting into a leading indicator, judging the price of movement in the future rather than in the current present time. So what I do is, once I have the MACD, another thing I also add is edit studies, add RSI onto here as well. So RSI is another one. It's called the relative strength index, basically. So it tells you whether or not the stock is overbought or sold, and it's using historical data. So let me apply that on there. Oh, nope, I didn't add it there. There we go. Apply that. And as you can see, this is my RSI right here. Bam. Let me move this. Boom. So this is my RSI, as you can see. So it tells me whether the stock is overbought, going above 70, or is it oversold, going below 30. So usually, as you can see, if you follow this RSI right here, like we hit oversold right here around this range, then it started pumping up. The stock pumped up, rejected this around the mid area, the 50, pulled back down, hit this oversold area kind of again, then start pumping back up, as you can see, and you can follow it all the way up. And then whenever you see it stay at the top here, that means it's going to consistently keep going up more. Usually the stock or ETF continue to go up more, meaning it's going to go sideways, but have a bullish uptrend, meaning it's going to still go up more. Usually stocks can stay up there for a while too. That's when RSI starts moving sideways, and you can't use the RSI indicator. That's when you have to use other indicators.
Hey, I'm sorry for interrupting, but that's a weak bearish divergence right there, right?
Huh?
That's a weak bearish divergence right there, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That we're having right now.
Yeah, it's pretty weak. It's a pretty weak bearish divergence on SPY currently, actually, if you look at it. Yeah, but there's no. I usually don't go off of that yet, because the reason why is we have to see where we might be heading before I get a confirmation. Usually, weak bearish divergence don't have a really sense of direction yet. So it's not very confluential to my TA to affect the price movement of what I see. So yeah, free. If you guys have any questions, just ask me. Yeah. So basically RSI, that's I add on there. Also, another thing I add on there is implied volatility. The reason why is to tell whether or not if there's any volatility in these contracts you're running in, and implied volatility. There we go. Implied volatility. So it tells me whether or not my contracts are going to be very expensive or very cheap. As you can see the implied volatility for SPY here for the contracts. At one point around 12-13, the contracts were actually cheap because the implied volatility, shot up a little bit. The calls, if the implied volatility goes up, that means the calls are going to be cheaper. If the the calls are going to be more expensive, but the puts are cheaper. And if it goes down, that means the puts are way more expensive, but the calls are cheap. I'm sorry, the puts are cheaper, but the calls are less expensive. So it's like a IV crush type of situation you can occur right here. So I use that to indicate whether or not if I'm going to have an IV crush in an earnings trade or something like that. Like, for example, if I get into Apple's earning trades and the IV is very high and there's a high chance of IV crush occurring within these situations, that's when I would use IV implied volatility. So to judge whether or not I should get in the contracts before earnings or after the earnings trade so that I can prevent IV crush within my contracts. So I have implied volatility, RSI, MACD. Boom. Another thing I would add is EMAs. So I would add an EMA. So exponential. I gotta put exponential. There we go.
Really? Indicators right now.
Huh? Oh, we're going over my basically my trading strategy. What I do to basically use my strategy perform very successful in my trades during the day and week throughout the whole year. That's what I'm doing. So we have a moving average exponential right here. So boom, put this in here. Bam. So I usually use 20 for my 20 EMA, and then for my SMA. Is what's the next thing. So as you can see, we have a 20 EMA right here. You can change the color if you want to. Another thing I would add is a SMA, simple moving average. Boom. There we go. Boom. I'll put this at 200. 200, like this is the, so reason why I picked 200 is because this is the number that a lot of people like basic traders use. 20 to 200 or 50 to 200 is a basic number that many traders use. Backing to data, there's a high success rate in this because the data shows that usually if it crosses this, it's bearish. If it's like to the downside, like if the 20 EMA crosses to the downside, above the 200 SMA line, I believe it would be to the downside. So like, let's say right here. Yeah. So the 20 EMA crosses to the downside right here. Is very bearish, but as you can see also, S&P 500 bounces off these SMA lines perfectly every time as like it's just a support level. So it's very clear to keep a close eye on because you can tell the price movement of the stock. Some people use EMA ribbons. I used to use it before. It's a way of finding support and resistances in the stock. So like they would have a 10, a 20, a 30, a 40, a 50, up to 200, and then that's how they tell what their next support levels is. So it's a constant flow of support and resistances. So it's really awesome to look at. And sometimes if the ribbons flip, that means they're in a bullish, in a bearish case scenario. So that's it's called EMA art ribbons. If you guys are wondering what that indicator is, try it out. It's pretty interesting if you never tried it before. I tried it a few times. I tried trading. I use that indicator on trading basically Ethereum. So that's what I was doing, like leveraging Ethereum. I traded it. It was very useful, very handy dandy. Made a lot of money off of that, but I stopped doing that now. Yeah.
There's another one that I see a lot of traders use as well. It's called Ripple EMU Cloud.
Oh yes. A lot of people use that
very
too.
Very popular on TradingView.
Yeah, people use EMA. Yeah, those are really good too because it's like this. It's the same exact concept as EMA ribbons. Nothing really big difference at all. But yeah, so. All right, so we have all of my indicators. So we have MACD, RSI, implied volatility. We have our EMA, SMA lines. Perfect, right? So first things first, what I do in my strategy is like, let's say I'm staring at a stock for the basically the stock for the first time ever. So first thing I would do is in my strategy, I would find the overall long-term support and resistances. So in this situation, I'm going to draw my support and resistances at a weekly. So I'm going to go out in the date to find all my data. So this is the historical, like basically a 3-year data. I'm pretty sure. Yep, 3-year weekly candles data on the S&P 500. So first things first, I would do is draw a support level. Usually, what I've been doing, I've been ignoring the black swan event, which is the COVID pullback, as you can see right here. So what I do is I draw a support level around here. So I'm going to draw my support. Bam. Usually I have multiple of these, so I can see the general areas we bounce between. So I'll use this wick. Bam. So usually I try to draw out as many as can to see where the local area that you could bounce multiple times off of, because this is the key level of whether or not SPY is holding. As you can see, I'm looking like right here, you have one wick down to here, you got one wick right here. You have a couple touches right here, you have bounce off of here. We broke a little bit below, but it's moving sideways on the line. I remember this very well. So that's another key level I have. Boom. And then another one what I have is, since we're doing, this is a rising wedge, I know for a fact, is I have to draw it from here to here. So that's a clear rising wedge. So based on looking at this, I see that I can use this line right here. So I'm going to remove this. So this is my clear rising wedge, if I would say. Yeah, the rising wedge on the long-term scale. So let me move this down for you guys so you guys can see it. So as you can see, I have made my chart right here. It's not a clean line at all. Let me clean this up for you guys so it's a lot cleaner. Usually I clean up these lines pretty well. There we go. That's a lot cleaner. All right. So basically, this is a rising wedge. If you guys don't know what the rising wedge is, it's a bearish indicator of a overall pattern to the downside. So if you guys go into basically in my channel, I have it pinned right here actually of all the stock chart patterns right here. And it's very useful because then you can actually see, let me click on this image. I'm pretty sure it's right here. Boom. You can see, there's many more, but yeah. So there's like, you can see the patterns in whether or not the stock is going to make it to the upside or the downside. It's a good theory and knowledge to have because then you can tell if a stock is going to make that upside or downside. So I say study this so that you have the knowledge of what patterns are occurring within these charts. So yeah, going back to this, yeah. So we're in a rising wedge, as you can see. Know your stock chart patterns because it's very key to knowing the pattern of the stock of whether or not it's going to break out. So right here, I have support, resistance, boom. So now I'm going to move into a shorter time frame where I can actually, start swinging trades, sorts like that. So me looking at this, I see that we had a strong resistance right here. Let me switch my cursor to this. So looking at this, I see that we had a strong resistance right here. So I'm going to draw a support level of sorts, like a resistance support level bar. There we go. Bam. I'm going to change this color. Boom. There we go. Make it this dashed out. So we were in basically a ascending triangle. This is another continuation pattern. If you guys don't know what it is, it's a continuation pattern to the upside. Usually, it's a bilateral pattern. So usually, if it breaks above this, have a strong breakout above this, then you are going to go up. But right now, it looks like we're testing support level. As you can see, it's another key thing to learn. Whenever you break resistances, usually stocks go back down to turn that resistance into support level afterwards. So basically, I have my stock chart for the short term right here. As you can see, I have my long term. I'm going to make this the big golden line, or the light one. There we go. This is my long term, basically. Bam. My long term support and resistance in the rising wedge for SPY. Boom. Overall, the stock chart shows that we're still in the uptrend mode, as you can see. So what I do is I draw my Fibonacci. So what I do is if you go grab your Fibonacci tools right here, bam. So I go from the high down to the bottom of support that we recently made. So it's like around here, bam. So it's like 450, 442. Let me make sure this is a clean 479 actually. I don't want to make this. So one key thing I would note that you guys write down or something is that I go from top to bottom as a way to find new price targets, price discovery for SPY or for a certain stock. If you go from bottom to top, I'm pretty sure, yeah, bottom to top, boom, you're finding price discoveries to the downside if the stock is going, sorry, excuse me, I'm burping. If it's moving towards the downside, and if it already broke that local support of 450 and it's breaking below that and making more leeway to the downside, then I would do from bottom to top to figure out the basically local area that it's going to find its next support level, possibly. There is new bottom low, high low, something like that. But yeah, so that's what I do for my Fibonacci's. Reason why I picked this support level is because we bounced off here a couple times, 1, 2, 3. Why I picked the high level is because we recently made a high. Usually I do it where the high level is so I can see the most accurate price movement in the coming weeks or so, or days. So looking at this, boom, as you can see, we have hit that top with 479. Boom. Now we're bouncing off. So our next like support level, I would say, is that, like I said, is this area right here. Bam. So our support level is right between 479, 472.88 to 450, 471. If we bounce off of that, then we can go back up to 479. Another thing I do is also I do fib clusters, because you see this huge gap from 100 to 161.8%. It's a huge gap, but you don't know the different supports and resistances. And especially this is price discovery too. This is when stocks are finding the new highs and stuff like that. So it's very key to know what support and resistances are within there. So basically I draw my Fibonacci's in here. Boom, from top to bottom again. There we go. So basically looking at this, my next resistance in this is 483. So like SPY 483 basically. So it can break above 479, you know, the stock can break above 479, then run up to 483.25. So how do I trade this actually, if you're wondering? So we have our overall long-term goal, long-term, basically called a chart pattern right now, which is our support, our resistance right here. I found a local resistance area that's possibly going to be turned into a local support area now. Looking at this, we're still in this rising wedge. We haven't broken out of it or anything yet. We've been bouncing off our 200 SMA line perfectly. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, even though we had choppiness right here. This is very key. Now, looking at this, we can see that SPY looks like it wants to make another uptrend. So when I'm looking at this chart and comparing all the data together, so I know my support levels, 474.88. My resistance is 479. Looking at my MACD, looks like we're in a bit of a, what's it called? We're about to cross. And Seven said that we're in a bit of a bearish divergence, a weak bearish divergence, which is a clear indication we are, because currently the stock trend is still going to the upside in the short term right here. As you can see, we haven't broke below that support yet at all. So if it does and the MACD crosses, we can see that bearish divergence actually play out. But usually I don't trade that yet, because there's not enough confluences to make that trade, you know? So basically now what I do is I have all this data and I know what the price move is for the week for SPY, all right? So if it wants to make a low, it has to hit 472.88. If it makes a high, 479. If it has to break above it. So what I do next is I go to a lower time frame to chart out what my movement is. So it looks like we're in a bullish rectangle right here, as you can see. So if I chart out my bullish rectangle right here, bam. So I go in the short time frame to figure out what I'm gonna do for the week. So this is my bullish rectangle, as you can see. If you guys don't know what the bullish rectangle is, this is a bullish rectangle. So this is a bullish continuation pattern, chart pattern. This is a bullish rectangle, as you can see, this right here. So currently it looks like we're in a bullish rectangle, because we consistently bounce off of 474 and we've been consistently bouncing off of 479. So this is a key indicator that we might make a continuation pattern to the upside. Sometimes stocks do invalidate these patterns. I'm just letting you guys know that it does invalidate, but I'm trying to see whether or not if we can bounce off this consistently in between this to make a continuation pattern to the upside to probably hit 43, which is our next price target for the coming week. So it's very key to pay attention to this. So I see that in my short-term trend right now, we have a continuation pattern up here and we're going sideways. We're forming a continuation pattern called a bullish rectangle. You know, we have a support right here, 472.88 between 471, and we have a resistance of 479. So looking at this, I'm like, so if I really want to trade SPY within the intraday or something like that, I have to buy the bottom right here. Hopefully buy the bottom, day trade it up to around 476. If I day trade to 476, let me go to a shorter time frame right now so I can get more data. So let me go to a 5 minute. Let me go 15 minute. So looking at the trade, if we can break above 476, 476.60, then I would hold the trade, or I would actually sell some of the positions and leave a few runners from this pattern, from the situation, take the profits, let the runners run, set tight trailing stop loss or stop loss, however you want to do your selling procedure. That's automatic. That's how I would do it. And if it keeps running and it goes to 479, this is where I would take the profits on those runners, right? Take the profits on those runners and basically possibly buy new positions that can go to the upside of price discovery. Only if it breaks, if you have a confirmation of breakout out of this bullish rectangle. You need a confirmation of breakout out of this bullish rectangle. You need a candle close above 479. If you don't have a candle close above 479, do not place a trade. If you do place a trade, you're going to end up losing, because the reason why is you have no confirmation. Usually in that case and scenario, you're rejecting off this resistance level and staying within the bullish rectangle ranges still. And that's mean you might go back down to the down range of 474. So that is what I call a bullish thesis for this current ETF right now for SPY. So that's how I trade it. And then I develop a bearish thesis from this as well. So it looks like we're already at support level, as you can see. So if we break below the support level, we can see it go down more to 472. If it does, if we see a candle open tomorrow to 472 tomorrow in the market, I don't know, futures open around 6:30. So if we see bearish futures tomorrow, I mean today, during the after hour, during the pre-market hours, it will be very dangerous, because that's mean we're following the bearish thesis to the downside. So meaning, we're making a candle gap, as you would say, to the downside, possibly hitting 473 to 471. So that's the bearish thesis going downwards in the downtrend, invalidating this bullish rectangle as well. So that's invalidation right there. That's going to occur, but doesn't look like it. And basing on what we can see, possibly futures might be playing to the bullish side. So that's my bullish thesis right there. So another thing is, I also use another indicator for day trading. If you guys don't know, it's called open breaking out ranges.
OBD?
Yeah, OBD. So let me grab the script. Actually, I can pull it up in here, right? Yeah, I'm gonna pull this. So it's called Breakout. So basically, this is what it is. Oh, I gotta change the settings for this. Oops. Let me change the settings. So for this, edit studies. Boom, 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 boom. Let's get some clouds on here. Yes, there we go. Boom, apply. So as you can see, this is OBD right here. So this breakout ranges. You can use this in the 5 minute. I'm pretty sure on the 1 minute as well. Yep, on the 1 minute. And I don't think you can do this on the 15 minute. I haven't changed the code. Yes, you can. So on the 15 minutes, you can use it as well. Usually, it's it's a handy day trading tool. Usually, these clouds are basically a way of telling you support and resistances of whether or not you should buy a call or a put. So in this situation, if it's in this, I call this red zone the bear zone, the green zone the bull zone, as you can see. Usually, if the stock breaks below like this bear zone and it consistently stays in there, do not buy calls. This is basically telling you, hey, you got to be very careful. If you buy calls, you're gonna probably get clipped off very easily, because you're not gonna break above this bull zone. Usually, people buy puts when it breaks below this this bear zone, and they buy calls when it breaks above this bull zone. And this is your price target, 477, and this is your price target right here for the breakout, 474.86. You can put a stop loss right here or trailing stop loss, take the profits. Usually that's how I play it. So if you guys, usually it combines with EMAs, SMAs, and what's it called, shorter time frames, and VWAP as well. So it's a very handy tool to day trade on the daily. It tells you where the price movement action is, if it's going to be bearish or bullish for the day. It looked like we're just moving sideways. As you can see, we hit the bottom right here for that price target, bounced off, went back up to that range again, to the middle where we were neutral, around 476. 14, not making a lot of moves, but yeah. Any questions?
Is it currently right now? Is it currently below the EMA?
Hold up. Sorry, I'm just editing the. Hold up. I'm trying. I'm trying to edit the currently yes. Yeah, the EMA is currently below the 200 SMA line. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, so they just want to make a death cross, like a little death
Yeah,
cross,
it's
right?
like a little death cross currently. So we possibly might make it to the lower downside, maybe probably hit that support level. So if I can possibly clean that up as well, so we can see what happens. I'm trying to look at show. No, yes, there we go. I want to show future ones as well. There we go. Haha. So as you can see, here's the past ones right here. As you can see for the open range breakouts. As you can see, we hit that price target up here. Boom. That was supposed to be our breakout zone. We didn't break out. We reject off of that level. We pull back down. Boom. We stayed neutral for a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. Then SPY started making to the downside of basically breaking out to the lower end, then hitting this price target right here, then making even lower, breaking below in after hours right here. Between here and here, it was basically after hours, and it just made very lows, like very low lows. So it's a clear indication that this was bearish after rejecting this top right here. So it stayed in the bear zone, showing that this would be a strong bearish sentiment for SPY in that day. Then it broke below this, meaning time to buy puts, buy the puts, then it shakes down to the downside. So yeah, that's a clear way to doing your trades. This is where you buy the puts of 477 down to probably 476. I would buy the puts too. Then from there, once you hit that 476 price target, you can either take the profits or let it run. And by the looks of it, is a very strong bearish because as you can see, the MACD along with it and the RSI were very bearish going to the downside. We had a lot of sell-off volume, and the RSI was showing to the overbought downside. Very key information to keep in hand of. Any
What
other?
is that called?
This is called the open range. I can drop the link in for you guys. Here, let me. So I go on. So where I grab this is ThinkScript. So this is where you can grab all your custom indicators. Let's go. I'm gonna do this ThinkScript ORB indicator.
Is it a lagging indicator? Is it a lagging indicator?
No, it's a leading indicator. This is a leading indicator, so it tells you basically where the breakouts occur, basically price action movement within that day as well. Within the
So it's like it measures buying and selling pressures. Right?
Yep.
It's
Yeah. So
accumulated.
here I'm gonna send it in. Bam. Oop. There we go. I sent it in stock chat for you. So if you want to copy the script, usually what you do is you copy this entire script right here. You can edit it however you would like. Currently, I'm trying to edit it so that I can swing trade with this type of ORB. So I'm trying to make it a higher time frame, so like 4 hours. See whether or not I can use it as a day trading ORB and test it out if it's very handy at all. That's a cool thing. Yeah. So yeah, this is the ORB. I use this a lot for day trading. It tells me my price action movement if it's going to be bearish for the day or bullish for the day. So it's very awesome. That's what I do. Yeah, sometimes when you see me place trades and you see why I did the call, like right here, I did the call, went up, then it just shot down at the end of the day. And then it's just like, oh, fuck. Like, what can you do?
Is it last Friday?
Yeah.
The 477.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, fuck. Like, and then it shot down after that. And I was like, oof. Took the
Wait. Go back again. What do you take that trade?
Around here.
Where do you take that trade?
Around here. On the Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was on the way to the Boston Celtics game when I took that trade. When SPY was down, went up, hit the price target, sold out with a stop loss, then it shot down like crazy towards the end of the day. Yeah, so that was the crazy part about that. Even though it was a very choppy market, as you can tell the market was very choppy between here, a lot of volatility. So it was a good time to not trade during those hours. That's the perfect thing I did too. Yeah. Any other questions, guys, about my trading strategy of how I trade specifically? I'm free.
Yeah. So I just learned. I just learned that when you use RSI and MACD, right, it's best to use on a volatile market, and stock RSI and ADJ.
Yep.
Our true range is best used on a flat and choppy market. Is that you agree with that?
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Using Stoke versus Stoke RSI. Stoke RSI is, you just remember this, it's grabbing past data. It's like a histogram. It's grabbing past data, price movements, of overbought and oversold values of the stock, and it's usually for sideways movement. No, Stoke is for sideways movement, and Stoke RSI is not for sideways movement. Yeah, that's the way it is. Yeah. So I use stochastics rarely now, because the market is currently going upwards. The only time I pull it out is when we're actually going sideways. In situation like Friday, we were going sideways. That's a perfect time to do stochastics, because then you can day trade within those ranges, and take profits like $10, $15 here and there constantly. That's what people do usually, Stoke RSI is usually when the stock has a sense of direction already, like uptrend or downtrend. That's when you use super trend indicator with this, So it's very key. Any other question? Oh, I have to check live VC move. My laptop was really indicated when I got MAC on the other like two. Are you one of the chandelier indicators? No. Can somebody use your screen before I watch the league? All right. So, any other question you guys have about my indicators or anything? How I do my trading strategy? I do adapt my trading strategy sometimes. If you guys are wondering, it's very key to adapt to these your strategy, because if you don't, there's the market is always ever changing, and you want to be on top of the game constantly with the ever changing market, because you can't stay with the same strategy over a certain amount of time. You want to keep adapting it so that you can better perform in the market itself. Joshua Lopez, I am using trading not TradingView, Thinkorswim. It's a TD Ameritrade brokerage. Thinkorswim is a application basically through TD Ameritrade. Yeah, so I think it's only available in the U.S. and Canada right now. Pretty sure. I don't think Thinkorswim is. How do you decide on which strikes to choose? Any premium price range you have? Oh, so little shoddy. So how I pick it is based on these ranges, on my support, my resistances, and my price target. So like if I go back out to my 4 hours, right here, as you can see, boom. So how I pick my price movement is that, so let's say if I'm very bullish for SPY right now, right? And we hit this bottom support, I'm like, okay, we hit 474. My next candle, if it's green, I'm going to place a call for 476, because that's our next resistance right here for the short term. Very short term. I'm going to zoom in here. And if I go in 1 hour chart, just be more thinning out the data right here. You see, boom. So my resistance is around 476. Yeah, 476.68. So I would place a call to the upside for 470.68. That's my price target for that day, if SPY can make that move to the upside. Sometimes that doesn't occur. So I also have, that's why I create the bullish and bearish thesis. So that's my bullish thesis. My bearish thesis to the downside, if we break below 474, we're going to go down to 472. So I would place a call, a put option for 473 or something like that, or 472, and we hit that 472, I'll take the profits for that, but you have to have a confirmation of breakout of sorts. So depending on what the first candle is for tomorrow, that's when I'll see whether or not I would place a call or a put. Usually I generate my basically my price ranges on the day of what the price movement will be within that day. So based on between the Fibonacci's. Are you only trading SPY? No, Nick. I also trade other stocks too, like Microsoft. I trade retail sector. This whole week I've been trading retail sector, like Starbucks, Target, DKS, because they're the booming sector of the week. So those were my money making for the week. So you take profit once it hits your price target? Yes, little shoddy. Yes, I take profits and leave some runners. That's when you would leave some runners so that you can basically make even more profits. Even though you're down a little bit, probably like after the runners don't run, you also have that trailing stop loss to make sure that profits around like 20% or something like that. Any other questions? I want to add another thing. If you're building a trading strategy, simple thing is to study candlestick anatomy, stock chart patterns as well. Also, different theses and theories. Like the MACD, RSI, bearish and bullish divergence is very key, because then you can add that on to your trading strategy, so you can understand if whether or not the stock is having to the upside. On top of that, those are leading indicators, because you can predict the price movement of a stock very accurately. Are you using RSI? Yes, I am using RSI. Yes. Yeah, I'm using RSI. If it shows on here, yeah, I'm using RSI, as you can see. Yeah, I use RSI, I use MACD, I use IV, which is implied volatility. I use 200 SMA and a 20 EMA. Currently, this one has a 15 because that's for my day trading, but I use a 200 SMA, 20 EMA, and then 200 SMA. Also, I use Orb, which is open range breakout. I sent the link in stock chat. Use that. You can try use that for day trading. It's very helpful. So give that a hand. How do you choose?
And then the RSI is just lagging a lot too. So like sometimes, even though it says overbought or oversold, it doesn't indicate it's selling or buying.
Yeah. How do you choose between selling the contract or writing it until the last minute? So I have trailing stop loss, Aaron. So when I sell my contract at that price target, I take the profits a little bit, but I have a few contracts still running. So like let's say I'm in a SPY call, a 479 SPY call for basically 4 contracts I have in, and they're up currently. Basically, they hit my price target and they're up around 50%, 50 or 25%. Once they hit that, I'm like, okay, let me take some profits off here. So I sell about 2 or 3 contracts. That's leaving me with a 2 or 1 contract left. Basically, when you do that, when you sell that, you're ensuring you're taking profits, so it's not unrealized gains. This is realized gains now. So once you take those profits, you have those runners to run to the upside, because there's still room based on your TA. Once it breaks above 476, you see that it has more room to run to the upside. So that's ensuring that it can be more than just 25-50% gains. These runners will then just keep running, and you take those profits. On top of that, you also have trailing stop loss. These follow your contracts along the way as it hits new price targets. So like let's say I have a trailing stop loss of 20%. So every 20% that my SPY contract moves up, that trailing stop loss also moves up with that. Like let's say it went from 20 to 40, then to 60. Now my new sell point, it would be automatic, is 60%. So let's say it goes up to 70 or something like that, but then pulls back down to 60, it automatically gets out and sells for me. Yeah. So usually, sometimes if I'm selling the last, if I want to sell or ride until last minute, is when I look at the chart again at end of day, whether or not if there's any strong continuation to the upside still. Can you show how you do training? Do you think percent trailing are the way to go? Lil Shoddy, not all the time. I only do trailing stop loss if I'm in multiple positions. Sometimes I don't do trailing stop loss at all. I do as mental stop loss and then follow along, because I'm following the price movement of what the volume is for the day. If there's a lot of buying pressure, then I hold that contract. If there's a lot of selling pressure, I would sell a contract, or I would set a trailing stop loss to ensure that I take the best profit as possible. Trailing stop loss might not be your friend sometimes either. I know that for a fact, because Bacon, he's been trying to do his trailing stop loss currently, and his strategy is a bit difficult because he's trying to figure out how to implement the trailing stop loss. Usually, you should implement trailing stop loss once you have taken profits, for a certain amount for like 20-30%, and you only have like 1 or 2 runners, and you believe that no matter what the profit is for that runner, you'll be happy with it. Joshua, sorry to ask, but what indicators are you using? Joshua, I'm using MACD, RSI, outer range breakout. I'm gonna put the link for that script inside there. Another thing is also I use implied volatility. I use SMA, EMA. SMA is 200, EMA is 20. Yeah. What are your thoughts on straddle or iron condor strategy? Let me answer air talk. Indicators to see volume, I use time and sells. So basically on here on the right for me is time and sell. So I can see how many people are selling and buying shares. I also use what's it called? Level 2s right here. I also have my volume right here. As you can see, it tells me if there's a lot of buying or selling, for the day. Usually my baby blue is my buy, my gray is my sells as well. Just curious, what are your thoughts on straddle? So straddle or iron condor strategies is basically, I say, like when the stock moves sideways. The contracts are very expensive, but in the beginning of the week they're very cheap. Like, let's say for the whole week, the stock has moving sideways like this between 476 to 474. So you can do an iron condor or straddle between these two, saying that, okay, the stock is not making a move at all, SPY is not making a move at all, and you can place a trade and wait to the end of the week to take those profits from the straddle. One big risk with straddle iron condor, you have to ensure that you are in a straddle or are moving sideways. A stock is when the stock actually makes that price movement for a whole week or for at least 3 days to take those profits. If it breaks above that straddle price the iron condor top resistance you have, then you're going to end up losing money because that's mean this could be out of the money and your contracts are worth nothing. What is the average volume SPY? Like, what do you look for volume to be when you want to buy a call? So I don't actually look at volume because there's so much volume, Ducky, in SPY contracts every day. And you can't tell whether or not they're selling or buying at all. So I just look at my price movement. I don't look at the volume at all because SPY is always having volume. What I do is I look at the price move of the stock and decide and look at my bullish and bearish thesis and decide whether or not I want to get it in a put or a call. And based on my price range and price target for that day, that's where I do it. Yeah. There's always a lot of volume because SPY ETF is basically a indice ETF. That's it. That's why there's a lot of volume. It's the most popular too. Yeah.
It's like every strike, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Calls put. You always see like hella OI.
Especially on the day too. That's the crazy part.
Oh, zero DTE.
Yeah.
Zero DTE.
Oh my god.
Like 30K.
One time I see 100K and people were doing puts and I was like, "Why the fuck are you guys doing puts?" And then they lost a lot of money because of that. It's so funny. Yeah. So I would say to don't go based off volume all the time. You can do volume sometimes, a lot of OIs and volume trades based on the stock, but with SPY you can't.
And can you really briefly go over how you would trade QQ if you you keep an eye on SPY all the time, and QQ is like kind of like lagging behind SPY. It's kind of follow the movement, but it's like lagging behind.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sometimes my TA on SPY, it's on point, but it's lagging. It don't work this week, but it's like on point next week. But QQQ hit.
Yeah. So
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. QQQ, you have to have a strong movement with all the tech sectors. So
Tech.
Yeah. So like QQQ is the Nasdaq basically. It's a ETF for the Nasdaq. So it's just tech only, the top tech in the U.S. stock market exchange. So you can have like this week, you can tell like this past week, tech sector was dying. It wasn't having a lot of volume. It was just going downtrend. It wasn't moving anywhere. The only sector that was moving is retail sectors and other communication sectors. And semiconductor was the move for the tech sector as well, if you remember that. So like semiconductor was making basically like a lot of volume, a lot of money. So the reason why SPY is moving more is because it's more than just tech. They have other they're in other sectors as well. That's the reason why. QQQ is in just tech. So like you can see one day where QQQ is red and SPY can be up a little bit because they have other sectors as well in their holdings. Yeah. So like for example, right around this time right here, I'm pretty sure this is when. Oh, is this? Hold up. Let me make sure. Oh, no. Let me go
It's like
for.
it's it kind of follow right behind SPY right there too.
Yeah, it follows right
With
behind
the last
SPY. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So like right around here, it was when the time when retail sectors was popping off, but tech sector was lagging behind. So that's why there was not a lot of volume QQQ. QQQ was just moving sideways. It was looking a bit bearish. It hit that top resistance of 402, you know, but it's an easy trade too. That's another thing. So I believe QQQ would be like how I trade QQQ is that it's my last trade, like my ticker to look at after SPY, so that I can know where it might move based on tech moving along with it.
As you mentioned earlier, for SPY bearish thesis when it goes the demand the support is like right now it's 472 something right there. 472, right? Something like that, right?
Yeah.
I believe that QQ would follow up same and it's like 390 394-ish, 393-ish right now for QQQ as well.
Yeah.
That's
QQQQ.
the buyers are waiting. Right?
Yeah. So it's the same support level, like 395 around there, 395 to 399 between here, 395 to 399. That's the buying pressure right here. So if it can't hold above that buying pressure, then we might see a breakdown to probably my next support level 391, 392. Yep. So
If a break and hold above 400.
Yeah. If it can hold above 400, clear sign of holding above 400 and it's making that a very clear support level, then that's very bullish.
So normally, if you just kind of like if you just watch SPY, if SPY goes up, then QQ should follow up like a little bit after that.
Yeah, usually they come. Sometimes they go up at the same time. That's another thing too. Yeah, like sometimes they go up at the same time, and you have to decide. Okay, do I get into QQQ or SPY at the moment? You know, because like if you look at the tech sector and they're both green, they're green. That means SPY's up and QQQ's up too. So you can't really do anything at all. So you're like, all right, I have to pick the one. I'm gonna go with SPY because it's a safer trade because they're in multiple sectors. So the tech doesn't have to be the only sector leading that S&P 500. You know, like let's say the next day tech goes down, but like S&P 500 has other sectors that are so green, you know, like retail. Then there's nothing to worry about.
Is that also the reason why QQ charts right now look like so similar with Microsoft?
Yeah.
You pull up Microsoft, it looks the same.
Yeah, it looks similar. It looks similar with Microsoft. If you look at Google too, that's another thing too. It looks like a bit similar. Like you can fit almost majority of tech stock charts.
You're right.
Yeah, to look like to overlay it, it might look the same. Yeah, there shows some type of not difference, more similarities. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Arun, how many contracts do you buy each time? Is it based on the number of contracts or total price or risk in each? It's based on risk, Arun. So if a contract is too risky for me, I only buy one. If I have a law of confidence in that trade, I'll buy around 3 to 4. Yeah. Thoughts on AMC in the future? AMC. Usually I don't do tickers right now, but
I actually never saw you trade AMC.
Huh?
Like meme stock. I actually never saw you trade AMC.
Yeah. AMC looks like it's doing the lickneck pattern right now. That's what we call it, the lickneck pattern, where it breaks below, then does a little scoop, then goes back up. Currently, it has to break above $30 to the upside to hit around $34. So I'm gonna stay away from AMC for now. It's very risky. Until a breakout occurs, then I would hop in there. But it's a meme stock. It's very risky. I don't want to get into it yet. There's not a lot of volume. It's dying volume right now. So I would wait and see a lot of volume get into it before you start hopping these trades for AMC. Yeah, I don't trade AMC like crazy on that. But yeah, anything else, anybody? If not, I'll end. What kind of account do you have with Thinkorswim? I have both a margin and a cash account, Joshua. If you're wondering. But yeah, all right, guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll be releasing my watch list out later tonight, or probably like at 2 a.m. or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna end the live stream here.